What's going on, guys? What's cracking? Today is a clutch day. I've had a McLeod clutch forever. I've always spoken very highly of it. It's always driven really well, has a light pedal, so my leg doesn't get tired in traffic. I've always really been a big believer in the clutch. I've been very, very, very happy with it. That being said, I think I'm on the upper echelon of what the clutch can handle. At 1,000 wheel horsepower, I'm pushing that 800 plus foot-pounds of torque, it's probably 850 or so. That's pretty much the limits of that clutch, if not a little bit past it. And I'm curious how it's doing. I've been having to slip the car a lot more to get it going. So I'm curious how the clutch looks, or if it's something else going on with the car, because something just seems off. Also, the car has been locking me out. I'm not sure if it's a diff issue. I don't know if it's something else, but something doesn't feel right. It feels like, I think it's a fluid issue. So I used Tremec fluid this time around, and I think that's part of the problem. I've heard other people say they're not happy. You really have to get the fluid warm, like super warm till it starts to feel okay, but it still has like a like not severe. My buddy Colton's was really bad, but I can feel it. And I'm like, I never did that before, so I want to take it out. I want to change the fluid. I just want to see if that's part of the problem. Changing the fluid out, and you know, it doesn't hurt to put like 5,000 to 6,000 miles on it. You know, fluid's cheap, transmission, rebuilds, all that stuff isn't. So I'd rather change the fluid out, put this new clutch in, and try it out. That being said, let me show you the new clutch for today. So here it is. The new clutch is from Branger's Racing. This is JB clutches. They used to be Max Force Engineering. Now it is called JB clutches. Look at that blue. They were kind enough to paint it a nice pretty blue here. It is very similar to my McLeod, that it is a twin disc setup. And again, I'm gonna take it apart here. And it is very nice. The little difference is the material is a little bit more severe. We'll take this off. You can see I laid all the nuts there. Let's get this off. Again, stamp face, just like the McLeod 2. It uses ARP hardware here, okay, just like the McLeod. The difference is, you can see here when I take the other one out, this uses a 6-puck design. It's unsprung. McLeod's unsprung also, so that's not a problem there. It's also a big face clutch, so it has a lot of, it's the material area, the face area is a lot wider, so swing area is a lot bigger, so it's supposed to slip better. It's a strapped disc also, so it keeps out chatter, so you don't get that jar marble sound if you haven't ever heard it. Let's see if I can find a video and put it up here if I can. I hope I can, but you can get that jar marble sound. Every big power car back in the day used to have it because they were unstrapped. These were known for braking, causing problems. Now, I guess it's really not an issue. But yeah, so this is a strap clutch. They label everything for you too. Again, JB clutch. This is your second one, so JBC2 out, meaning it needs to face out towards the clutch. Here, you got your center floating disc. Again, this is strapped. It's your floater, but it's a strapped floating disc. And then you got your second disc in between here. Again, this is splined for a T56 Magnum. Again, I got to take these off so I can pull that out. Now, I know I'm rambling on here a little bit, but I wanted to show you guys this too, just so it doesn't get lost when you look at all this. If you look at your clutches and you got these spacers here, you want to be cognitive or be aware there's spacers under this. So pull this one up here. I'm going to sit it right here. See that? See these shims? Don't lose these, and make sure they go to the exact stud each and every time. So each shim, you can see this one has like, I think 2 on it there. Sometimes they have 2, 3, depending, and that's to get it perfected. Some clutches don't, but when you want something to fit exactly as it should, that's what you need to do. Another big thing that they do, they spin and they test each and every clutch. So they actually put it on a machine, spin it, test it, make sure it's perfectly balanced. And if you want to go above and beyond, they test it for the crank and everything if you would have an engine built by them. They go like the nth mile. I am curious how it's going to drive. I did talk to Justin. He's like, look, you know, if you get it in, you're not happy, or if it doesn't feel a certain way, let me know. He's looking for feedback. So I wanted to be crystal clear. This isn't like, oh, it's going to be perfect. So if I get it in and I don't like it, or for something we want to change, if the pressure plate's too heavy, I'm like, look, man, we got to lighten this up or change something. That's something we can work with. But I don't mind testing. I like trying new stuff, and I'm very happy when a company's willing to do this. It means a lot to me. They reached out a while ago, so I just wanted to say thank you to Justin and your entire family. I got to meet them at World Cup Finals. Don't want this to get too long, but I got to meet at World Cup Finals. The nicest people ever. So talk about Southern hospitality. Got to go right in their beautiful RV. Wife right away. This is like early morning. If you've never been to World Cup, you got to get there early. Walked in, they're making breakfast right away. His wife said, would you like something to eat? Just hospitality as hospitality gets. They have some of the fastest cars out there running clutches. Like, people don't understand, and I didn't personally either, but like, if you see Grubworm, they run a Branger's Racing clutch. No idea. They have one of those slippable clutches. There's adjustable style. Another one would be the IRS 240SX that's out there. There's a bunch of cars. I don't have to list them here, but just, it's not this isn't his first clutch he's ever done. He's been doing it for years, but kind of like for a race program only, not for really for the public. And I think that's the route he's wanting to go now. So these are going to be some of the first ones, and I'm excited to get it in. So got to get the car up in the lift, take everything out like usual. I'm not going to show probably everything, but I will show the install, show the differences between the McLeod and this clutch, and hopefully this clutch drives well. And if not, he said, again, we'll adjust or change out the pressure plates, something of that nature. We'll give it a try. One other thing I should probably mention is how much power it's supposed to hold. It's supposed to hold 1,400 foot-pounds, which is wild. Which is more than I should ever need. But that's part of the concern of like, okay, if it holds that much torque, is it going to be any good to drive? And again, I don't know until I get it in. As you can probably hear, I'm a little skeptical, I'm a little unsure. But again, just want to go a little above than not enough. So it's better to get it in and like, hey, obviously it's going to hold all the power, but we have a problem now that it's just, it's unbearable to drive. I'm not even sure if that Tilt Master will be able to handle it. I might need like a 15th, 16th to even push this down. If that happens, then we know like, hey, we don't have enough bore even to push this thing. It's just not enough to actuate the clutch. So that's how we'll know too. Yeah, because McLeod, everything else, the only clutch I know of that needs it is technically, I guess, the McLeod heavy duty 1200 HD apparently, and then the Tilton clutches all require the 15 16s. Whatever, I think it's 15 16s. I think that's what it is, because that's 3/4 bore. So yeah, just wanted to go ahead and say that. Went ahead and got the panels outside out of the inside of the car. Now I got to do all the stuff underneath, and I'm waiting for my buddy Mark to get here, just because it's nice to have someone else to hang out with you when you work on the car. So I'm not going to go over the crazy details. There's a billion videos. I've done like 3 or 4 on this car. So I already got the muffler off there. Got to take off the mid pipe and the tail section of the catback, drive shaft, and then the bolts for the transmission there to tilt it down, and then take off the bell housing bolts and slide the transmission out, and then unhook it from here for the fluid, because I use a stainless steel, so I'm going to cap it off so the fluid doesn't just drain out on both sides, and then I'll just have to re-bleed it real quick. Not a big deal. I got a pressure bleeder system that I can use, so not an issue. But yeah, so let's get this clutch out. I'm waiting for my buddy Mark, and hopefully we can knock it out pretty darn quick. I went ahead and marked the drive shaft too, so I know this is where it's well balanced. I know to put it back up in that same spot, because that does matter. Let's see if my other marks here. Just, I got all this paint mark stuff. The only thing I don't like, see how much this thing slings out grease? Like, that just drives me nuts. Apparently that's just normal with these damn things. Both sides do it too. Drives me up the wall, but I guess it's one of those, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. I bent this years ago, I bent this the wrong way. Did the top tab up, I wasn't paying attention, bent this up where I wanted to bend it down to keep it from sliding off. Dumb. Yeah, so I'll shut up now, and let's get this done. Oh, but actually, before I say that, this winter, I'm gonna replace that clamp, and when I drop this whole subframe out to get powder coated, I'm gonna redo some of these clamps, fuel lines. Like, I wanna put a clamp here that holds this, because this is just, look at that. That's not safe. That's not safe. I don't like that. So get a clamp on that to keep that from chafing. All right, guys. So got everything out here. Again, I've made a billion videos. I didn't want to go through all of that. One thing though, Mark pointed out, a little bit louder. Still spins a little bit louder than it should be. A little bit of movement, not terrible. So here's the clutch that came out. So definitely looks like it's got some heat in it there. Not as bad as I thought. But again, I don't know. I need to send pictures. I'm going to send them to McLeod and be like, hey, what's normal, what's not? There's the center floating disc. You can see heat on the centerpiece, but the rest of it seems okay. There is the flywheel side and this side. So I'm not sure if what's good or what's bad here, if it was wearing out, so on and so forth. But here's the new clutch going in. Now I went ahead and marked it because we're going to, so I can know the torque order. We're going to do the 75 foot-pounds, and then I've got the torque specs for the small stuff here too. I think it's pretty similar to what the McLeod was here. So here's your center floating plate. Again, super similar, except this is a 6-puck style versus those multiple little plates. So yeah, we'll give this a shot and see how it goes. All right, guys, so we got the clutch here. You're going to have JBC2 is the furthest one out. There's another one that says JBC1 for Justin Branger's clutch. So what you want to do is make sure that is out towards us, and the other one is faced towards the engine itself. There's 1 and 2. 2 is the most outer one. And then you want to make sure your white marks are lined up, so white on white. And then when I put the top pressure plate on also. So for these here, let me pull it up on my phone real quick. So small stud. So for the small studs, it's 23 foot-pounds, and for the big studs, it's 33 foot-pounds. The ARP flywheel bolts are where we put on. I torqued to 40 and then finished off at 75 foot-pounds. All right, so let's get this on. Okay, so I also use this metal spline tool. You want to make sure you can slide in and out. So I got everything torqued down to 23, 33. Make sure everything's lined up, but you got twin discs, and you want to make sure you can slide this in and out. You can hear it from me. Got a little free play in there too, because lining this up is by far the worst part. So you want to make sure it's lined up and that's all torqued down. So this slides in and out. And again, this works a lot better than the other stuff does. All right, guys, so we got the beer can holding all the fluid from coming out. Thank you, Mark, for that. You're killing it. So again, you've seen the videos, guys. What it ended up being that we had 65 millimeters from the face of the clutch to the face of the bell housing, and then you need to -4 off, so you want this so it has room to come in and out. One thing I did notice when we took this out, this was like maxed in, like it was pushed the whole way in. So that might have been some of the reason it was riding on this, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll find out, but we got this exactly, so it's 65 -4, so it was 61 millimeters, or just a C hair under that, but I'd rather have a little bit more room than not enough to grow with. So yeah, we should be good. Let's put this back in and hope for the best. All right, ladies, so we got the clutch back in. Again, you can see we jumped around a little bit, but we got the clutch back in. This is by far the lightest clutch, period, end of story. This is lighter than my McLeod. It is insane. I'm still using a 3/4 bore master and the same tilt and throw up bearing. It is so light. It was like we thought we weren't bleeding right. So I was pressure bleeding it, got down. I'm like, dude, it's not bled. So we re-bleed it, and I'm like, holy crap. It's literally just that light, drove it. The only thing, after getting done, I will say this. The car initial slipping is good. The pedal feels good. The last little bit, and I think we're going to change out the pads on this. So we're going to take the clutch back out. I put about 500 miles on it. Shifting great, high RPM, no lockout, no nothing. At the very end, just at the very end, it goes every time. I could do it back to back to back, and it didn't get worse. It didn't get better, but it was very consistent. Like no matter what you did, it would just have that like almost like a 6-puck style shutter. Not that bad. Like I'm trying to tell you here, it's not like the end of the world, but it has that. If you ever driven a 6-puck, you know, if it's really bad, you feel the whole fucking car shaking, especially after it gets really hot, it gets really bad. It's not doing that because I could slip it back to back, but at the very end of slipping, when you first initially slip it, it's fine, doesn't make any noise, and I want to make sure that's clear, it doesn't make any noise. It's literally just the very end of it. And when I told Justin that, he's like, okay, no problem. He's like, we can adjust that. He's like, I made the clutch probably a little too light. He's like, so I went with a little bit more aggressive pad. So he's like, we can go with the less aggressive pad and we just add a little pressure, which I'm fine with, because honestly, the clutch is so light. When I get into like I got in my buddy Frankie's car with his Tilton, which is, they have a super heavy clutch, especially even compared to my McLeod. I was like, holy cow. Like, let's make this a little heavier, add like 20%, and then we can change the pads out, and it should be fine then. Now, I don't know if that's going to change the torque rating, but it shouldn't, because we're going to add more pressure but soften up the pad. So it should be able to hold the same in theory. I'll have to talk to Justin about that. But again, I told you I'd be honest with this, so the clutch was very close. It's just that last little bit. And again, like I said, this has to be a true street car slipping driving. That was the only thing I didn't like. Downshifts, upshifts, I mean, it was crisp. It didn't like grab. It didn't do anything terrible. Like I initially looking at it, seeing that 6-puck design, I was really worried. Car drives great except for that last little bit. So the fact it's that close already makes me super happy. Like I said, Justin's going to make those adjustments and we should be good. So yeah, like nothing crazy. Thank you again to JB Clutches, Brangers Racing. You guys, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. It means a ton to me. I like testing out these products. As you guys know, like some of the stuff I do, you're probably like, why are you putting yourself through all this headache? I enjoy it. I mean, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy testing within reason. After a while, okay, like, all right, enough. I'm not going to keep redoing, especially the transmission stuff. Like doing this, I don't mind doing it once or twice, but after a while, getting the transmission out, rebleeding everything, that gets old. So don't want to have to keep doing that. But we're this close. We're like this close. So less aggressive pad, a little bit more heft on the pedal itself, and we'll be fine. So thank you guys very much for tuning in today. Stay tuned for more from JB Clutches. I can't wait to get these out to the market, and this way you guys can drive them too. I want to make sure it's perfect. So does Justin and the team over there at JB Clutches to make sure you guys have the best product. Talk to you later. Peace.